What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to go over an updated list of the top 5 ways to earn legendary items in this game. Last time I made this list was early on in the game, and I found a few different ways, as well as just gotten more experience with just gaining a ton of legendary items. So let's get into it. Before we jump into the top 5 list here, I did want to mention a couple of honorable mentions here. Now, the first one is going to be any of the open world events themselves, and not necessarily open world farming, but the additional events attached to them. There's going to be one in the Darkwood, the corruption event there, or something like the Frozen Tundra event, the Mount Zavane Ancient Nightmare, the Haunted Carriage in Ashwold Cemetery. All of these are actually quite solid ways to get legendary items. Only problem is that some of them have multi-day resets. Some of them you have to farm the open world anyways to go and get those legendary items, and things like that. So I thought it was a good place for an honorable mention. The second thing is going to be guaranteed legendary spots. One of these options is going to be Biofin in the Ancient Arena. Only problem is that you have to win the Ancient Arena, and we actually have a struggle winning it in general, because there's a couple of really large whales on our server that have those massive tier 3 5k resonance wings, so it is a little tough to win those sometimes. And then the other one, some of the other ones are the Shadow War. You oftentimes get some legendaries from those, not necessarily guaranteed, or if you're the Immortals, the Kion's Ordeal, that gives you a guaranteed legendary at the end of the day. So if you do pick up those ones, they're all very, very solid ones, and I think worthy of an honorable mention. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our first of the top 5 lists. And if you do enjoy the video, be sure to sub. It does help out the channel, and we can put out more content for you all out there if we do get all of you watching. So really appreciate it. And let's go into number 5 pick. Starting us off at number 5 is going to be gambling. Now, the reason I have this at number 5 is not because it's a bad way to get legendaries, but it's only so many per day. So it is limited. It is actually about a 20% drop rate for legendaries, and I only recommend you buy the first 10 of the weapons and the armor. That's how you're going to get your legendary items. And it is decently hard to acquire gold if you are a casual player. And I'll go ahead and buy my 10 right here. And you'll get about 1 to 2 legendaries every single day from this. There's our first one from our armor, and we got 1 legendary. So it's going to cost you about 400 to 500,000 gold, and you're going to have to pick up the first 10 of each of these. Make sure you don't buy the armor or the jewelry, but these are going to give you a nice little boost of passive legendary items when you're going about your day. Make sure you do this every single day, and make sure if you decide to do this, do it at certain points. So if you are kind of limited on gold, only purchase it every day when you reach certain breakpoints, like Paragon 150 when we enter Hell mode, or if you class swap and you need certain legendary essences, or maybe if you have just not farmed a while and you have some really, really poor legendary items. That way you can get most value out of the gambler. Next method up is going to be dungeon farming. Now, last time I made this list, I put this at number 1. And the reason for that is because you get so much value at certain points from running dungeons, because you also get your set items. However, if this is a list about earning legendary items, the dungeons don't offer a crazy amount of legendary items. You get it at roughly about a 5% drop rate from what I've seen, which is about 1 in 20 dungeons, which is like about 1 to 1.5 an hour, depending on how fast you are in these dungeons. Now, keep in mind that the reason why I really enjoy running dungeons at certain points, specifically when you turn the Paragon over from one hell mode to another, you are going to get access to a bunch of sets and set items. And so make sure when you're farming these legendary drops and bonus set drops, you do target the boosted dungeons, because you'll get more legendaries and more set items and overall a nice combat rating boost. But just for pure legendaries, it's going to take a number 4 slot, because it isn't amazing, but it's still a good way to get legendary items. So coming in at number 3 is going to be Elder Rifts. Now, Elder Rifts are going to be a decent way to acquire legendary items because they're so quick. Now, this is assuming that you can run these anywhere from about 1:30 to 2 minutes. And you're just going to go through here, clear out the Elder Rift. Of course, a lot of you know how to do Elder Rifts. And you're going to get your legendary items every so often, as well as some decent experience. This is a little bit better than dungeons. I've found myself getting about 2 an hour, assuming I'm going really, really hard. The only problem with this is that it does require a lot of attention. And so if you do not want to go ahead and maximize your gains here by running the Elder Rifts, which again, takes a lot of attention, don't bother. Go ahead and run something else because it does take a crazy amount of attention, especially for getting those minute 30, 2-minute runs. Next one on the list is going to be something that I did not have on the list previously, but after doing several of these, I've noticed that you do get about a one-time drop after you start pushing challenge rifts for legendary items. So it does take a number 2 slot, but keep in mind that this is not a repeatable thing. You can't go back and farm challenge rifts necessarily for your legendary drops, but going ahead and pushing through these challenge rifts. Like the other day, I got to hell 4 and I was pushing after I got my 150 combat rating boost, which ended up being about 400 or about 500 combat rating actually for me. I was able to push 10 to 15 challenge rifts. I think I actually went from 100 to 124 because I hadn't pushed in a while, and I got 6 legendary items. And this is consistent from what I saw previously after pushing a lot through challenge rifts. Every 3 to 4 challenge rifts, I'd get another legendary item. So make sure you're keeping up on your challenge rifts and getting your legendary items from there. They're actually a really solid source of one-time legendary items. If you're not pushing your challenge rifts, be sure to do so, not only for those legendary items, but to make sure that you're also gaining these certain bonuses towards your shop, which this will give you additional leveled Paragon items for the Gambler, as well as Elder Rifts. So you need to do your challenge rifts for your Elder Rift legendary items to be improved, as well as your Gambler, as well as just your overall upgrades for your secondary gear. Challenge rifts are very important, so make sure you're doing them. I honestly have been slacking on it a little bit, so I'm going to try to push a little bit farther in the next couple of days. And with no surprise, coming in at number 1 is going to be your open world farming. Now, this can vary drastically. You can get up to 1 to 6 legendary items per hour. Now, that 6 legendary items per hour is on the higher end and is difficult for a lot of people to obtain. For one, when I'm testing all of these spots, I am including the bestiary within the open world farming, as well as treasure hunter. And between your open world farming and the bestiary, you can get a ton of legendary items. Now, the trick to open world farming is, one, you want to be able to move quickly. So if you've not seen my previous video on my wizard build that allows me to get more legendary items per hour because I'm moving quicker and damaging higher, that is very, very important. The second thing is to make sure you find a spot that drops a ton of monstrous essence. The bestiary is the major source of these legendary items, not actually the drops themselves. Oftentimes, every 2 to 3 bestiary turn-ins, you're going to get 1 legendary item, as well as you can get those bestiary turn-ins about 1 monstrous essence per 2 minutes. So you can get 10 monstrous essence in about 20 minutes from some of these spots, and then you can get about 3 legendary items, or rather 1 to 2 legendary items per hour, on top of the ability to just farm massive amounts. If you are in a group, that can drastically increase the drop rate from the regular monsters because you'll spawn those more elite ones. So make sure you are farming in a group if you can. And a few of the select spots that I highly recommend that are going to be the best available options is going to be, 2 of them are going to be in Realm of Damnation. The first one's going to be this Plains of Torment farm down here. The second one is going to be the long farm around the Citadel of the Damned, all the way around, and just going around from the Citadel of the Damned through to the left, through the middle of this, over the Hall of Punishment, back up, and then back around through the Citadel of the Damned here, and then back to the waypoint. So huge farm there. And then the third one that I'd highly recommend is actually in Mount Zavane, and I don't think I've covered this one in a video, but it's actually the Sanctified Earth Monastery. The circle farm here is actually a really, really good spot for farming legendaries. All 3 of these are extremely active and require a lot of attention if you want to acquire the legendary rates that I was able to obtain. And these are anywhere from 4 to 6 legendary items per hour. Very, very good legendary item drop rate. But again, you need to have a dedicated party of 4, and you need to be pushing this very, very actively, as well as a dedicated build to farming to make sure you have the damage and the speed to clear extremely fast. So keep that in mind when you are going for the open world farming, and hopefully this will help you get lots of more legendary items. Let me know what your favorite thing on this list is to do. I personally, I said I hated challenge rifts, but after taking a break from them, I've been doing it a little bit more, and I have been enjoying it a little bit more. So that's my current favorite thing to do in the game. So I'm going to be doing that a little bit more, and you'll see a lot of videos on that because I've been messing with some wizard builds. But hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.